Wow, this looks a lot better than I thought it would. Hey, how's it going? In today's video, we are taking a look at the Figuarts Standard Amplified Blackluster Soldier from Bandai. This kit was released in January of 2024. I bought this kit when I was in Taiwan, and it costed me 1,050 Taiwanese dollars, and that's with tax included. With the converting rate, it's around $44.79 Canadian, and for that price, I'm not gonna complain, it's pretty good. And I gotta say, I'm quite surprised that they released this kit. This is the third amplified model kit from the YuGiOh series, following the Blue Eyes White Dragon and Exodia the Forbidden One. Oh, just want to point this out, if you're planning to paint this kit, paint it first before you assemble it, because if you're trying to disassemble it, you're probably gonna break something. I kinda expected Dark Magician or Red Eyes Black Dragon to be announced, but needless to say, this kit was a pleasant surprise. So let's start the review with the box. Box art looks beautiful, very reminiscent of the art on the playing card. Also, you can already tell from the size of the box, it's not going to have that many parts. On one side of the box, you got a neutral pose of the Blackluster Soldier, and a small image of all the runners there. Unfortunately, there's a sticker blocking it. I tried peeling it off, but it's just going to look like a mess anyways. On the other side of the box, we got the kit in a variety of poses. Also got some images highlighting the extras and some gimmicks. But spoiler alert, there isn't much. What you see is what you get. Except that action base. Unfortunately, it doesn't come with one. But don't go judging the kit based on the box. Let's take a look at the model kit itself. So I present to you the Figuarts Standard Amplified Blackluster Soldier, with 0 panel lining, and I used all the stickers that were given. And if you hate stickers, you'll be happy to know there isn't many. Only using 4 stickers on the feet over here, and the rest of the stickers on these spiky parts on the armor. They were very easy to apply, and I'm happy it's not a heavy sticker kit. And as for the build, it's a very simple build. I would actually highly recommend it for beginners. The kit doesn't come with many runners like I said earlier, and you pretty much use all of it, so no wasted random plastic pieces. The kit does leave some nub marks, but because of how dark it is, it's pretty difficult to see unless you zoom in. And surprisingly enough, the silver and gold plastic pretty much left little to no nub marks at all. If anything, they're very minimal. And speaking of gold, I gotta say Bandai absolutely surprised me with the gold this time. It's not the piss yellow you normally get. This is a much more saturated gold that reflects the light a lot better. It doesn't have any weird wavy lines in the molding process. It looks much smoother, and I'm not sure if the camera's doing it justice, but when the light hits it, it looks very good. It's still not Ryujin Maru level gold, but at least it's better than the Amplified Alphamon's gold. I'm afraid my camera is not doing it justice, but in person, this gold looks a lot better. And it works so well contrasting that dark blue, or dark purple, whatever, because I'm colorblind, I can't really tell, but it's very glossy, it's dark, and it looks terrific. Works even better knowing that all of this is colored parts separated. So a lot of engineering went into the design of this kit, and it shows. I personally never thought I would love the kit as much as I do, but the contrast in the colors works so well with the design, alongside with the part separation, especially on the shield and the armor, makes it so eye-catching. But my god, if you try to paint this after, good luck trying to separate the parts. You're gonna break something for sure. Just because it's colored parts separated, there are a lot of very thin plastic hollow pieces that are just stuck on with small pegs. Trying to separate those, you're probably gonna break the peg or just crack the piece in half. Also want to point out the use of the red on the hair. Looks very nice, doesn't leave any bad nub marks, and the color is quite vibrant. I like it a lot. Also want to point out that jewel on the forehead has popped out on me once, only once, so just be careful with it. Otherwise, the jewels in the hair add a nice little color onto the kit. And here I switched up the lighting just to hopefully show off the gold and the dark blue. Don't want to sound like a broken record, but it reflects the light really well. I'm a huge fan of the design, and though it says amplified, I still think it looks very similar to the original design. The appearance is just absolutely beautiful to me. So yeah, in my personal opinion, it's a 10 out of 10 in my books. You might disagree, but it still looks amazing to me. But time for some harsh criticisms, let's move on to articulation. And like always, let's begin with the head. There's only one peg and ball joint that connects to the head, and it's located at the bottom of the neck, allowing it to bend side to side like so, but containing only one joint in its neck, it's able to look this far up and down. Range of motion is pretty good, but unfortunately that one joint doesn't allow the neck to retract or extend. Because of the spiky shoulder pauldrons in the hair, the head can only turn side to side this far. Moving on to the shoulder joint, it's able to externally and internally rotate this far, and as you can see there's an inner joint allowing some greater range of motion. Arm could abduct this far up, and kind of limited due to the design of the spiky shoulder armor. but at least the armor doesn't get in the way of the 360 arm rotation. We also have upper bicep 360. Range of motion for the elbow bend is really good. And the hands connected on a typical peg and ball joint, allowing some swivel movement and 360 rotation. Coming to the torso, it's made of 2 segments, the chest and the abdomen, giving the torso pretty good articulation. As you can see, this upper side bend for just the chest area is very good. Same can be said with this back extension and ab crunch, which has pretty good range of motion. The upper chest can also rotate, though very slightly. Moving down to the abdomen, it's also able to side bend. And as you can see, once you start combining the upper torso with the abdomen, it improves that range of motion even more. But that's not all, the abdomen can also do its own back extension and tiny ab crunch. And when combined together, the torso has really good mobility all around. Is it needed? Not really, but it's really cool to have. And unsurprisingly, the torso can do a full 360 without any issues. Coming onto the side skirts, they're connected to a ball and socket joint, allowing it to move up and down, fully 360 rotate, though a little cumbersome, and it could wiggle about. But also being on a ball and socket joint, too much moving can also dislodge it. The front skirts operate in a similar manner. Being connected to a ball joint, it allows it to wiggle up and down, left to right, and 360 rotate. Though not the most smoothest thing because it kinda gets caught on the chest. Coming around to the back skirts, it's less mobile, there's only a hinge joint allowing up and down movement. There's no swivel side to side or anything like that. And as we take a look at the legs, let's start with the hip joint. The hip joint is actually able to slide up and down, allowing the leg to just extend and retract ever so slightly. And due to the design of the leg, it can't fully 360 rotate, with the rotation also being at a slight angle. As for a split, this kit has an exceptional split. Oh, yeah! Look at that, the side skirts don't even get in the way, so all I gotta say, perfect split. As for leg raise, it's able to raise up this high, and you can see how the leg is slightly rotated out. This is due to that hip design I said earlier when you rotate the leg. You can also see that rotation on the back kick, which is a pretty good back kick still. As for knee bend, it's got a very good range of motion here with a double jointed knee bend, almost being able to touch its own butt if not for the back skirts. Lastly, onto the foot, we got this much of an ankle dorsiflexion and extension. The ankle could bend side to side like so in an awkward way because the joint here is at an angle. I don't particularly like the design of these joints. Also just realize how big of a heel that is. There's also a 360 rotation, and the toe could also bend up and down, which is pretty cool. Also look at the bottom of the shoes, they have some nice detail there. Overall, I believe the articulation for this kit is absolutely amazing. My only gripe is that ankle design. I find it more restrictive for the ankle mobility, but in the long run it doesn't really prevent any posing, so that's the most important thing. The balance for this kit is still very good despite having very small feet, being able to hold up a variety of poses without anything falling off or falling over, with the only kinda loose joint being the side skirts, but it wasn't even that big of an issue. They barely dropped off, maybe like once or twice. So overall, playing around with it, it was a dream, had no issues whatsoever. And the level's articulation was quite surprising, especially for that torso area. You're able to do this cobra pose, very derpy, but look at that mobility. With all that being said, let's move on to extras and accessories, of which there isn't that much. Firstly, we have one pair of holding hands, already equipped, and you could equip the weaponry onto these hands. Next up, we have this one right hand, which is at an angle, allowing you to hold it at an angle. Very weird considering they could have just added an extra joint onto the wrist, so then both hands could do this. Instead, they just gave an option for just one right hand, thus forcing your soldier to be a right-handed swordsman, which is mean to lefties. Take that, you lefties. Next up, we got its only weaponry. I believe this is called the Chaos Blade, not entirely sure. It is a very unique design, made up of 2 parts, the blade, which has no black nub marks despite being silver, which is awesome, and also the unique handle. There's a couple of red jewels also on the bottom of the handle, which adds a good nice little accent piece, and the blade is actually pretty long, around 3/4 of the length of the Blackluster Soldier. Considering it's a one-handed weapon, that's pretty impressive. Overall, very nice design of a weapon, though simplistic, I don't hate it at all. It's very unique for what it is, and I gotta say they did a really good job hiding the nub marks. They hid most of the nub marks on the bottom side of the blade, with only one on top, and that one you can't even see. To equip the blade, you're going to have to disassemble any of the hands, slide the handle right in, it should fit very snugly, and then sandwich the other side of the hand in. Plug the handle right back in, and then there you go. The sword has no weight with it, but the connection is still very strong. And instead of throwing a pose with just one sword, let's look at the next thing. We got the Blackluster Soldier's shield. I'm not sure what it's actually called, but look at that freaking colored part separation, my god. Also, we got a jewel over here, looks pretty cool, but that colored part separation, god, that's so satisfying. None of that is stickers at all. And like I said earlier, if you want to paint it before you assemble it, because this is incredibly hard to disassemble. But yeah, I just love the color contrast, I love the pattern, it just looks absolutely beautiful. On the other side, it's kind of plain Jane. The outer rim is kind of borderless and empty, but the middle over here does have some patterns and molded on detail, which is pretty cool. The handle here is not movable at all, so yeah, it's just a handle. But at least it has a strong connection to the shield, which is very important. And it's very pointy. Before I equip this shield onto the Blackluster Soldier's hand, there is an optional piece. You could equip it to its back. There's a small little cover right over here, which is actually very hard to get out. Yeah, use tweezers or something. This took me a long time. But be careful, it is very small, so try not to, like, when you take it out, just try not to flick it somewhere. You might lose it. This little hole that it reveals is also where you put the action base adapter, so it's up to you whether you want this hole exposed or not. And the shield's adapter peg actually goes right inside of here. There's only one way to go because the ball joint connects to the shield, and it's a very tight fit. The ball joint's just going to connect to this hole over here. And yeah, there you go. It's cool how they added it, but I wouldn't have cared if they left that out. It's really not that important. I guess they just wanted another option, but really it's not needed. It just feels empty on his left hand. You can also see how tight that friggin' hole is. It actually squeezed this little peg here. Yeah. Now for the real part, let's disassemble the hand. We're going to do the exact same thing. Slide the hand right in between where the handle is. I like doing it at this angle because it's easier to attach the other part of the hand. Socket it right into the stump of your arm. And like the sword hand, completely solid connection. Though there's no real articulation, you can position the shield in two ways. You could flip it up like this, where the shield face is facing out, or you can just have it laying flat down on the forearm like before. And when fully equipped, it looks pretty badass. But if you want to put in a more dynamic pose, get yourself an action base. I'm using the action base 1. You can use the action base 5, you can use whatever really. You just need this little small adapter that can fit in this hole. I believe all the action bases come with a similar adapter, but if you use the action base adapter, just a reminder, you might want to keep this piece, so put it somewhere you don't lose it. Now just put it in a nice dynamic aerial pose, and it looks fantastic. Here we got it looking like what it's on the box art, and personally, that's my favorite pose so far. And overall, I just love this kit. You don't really need much extras and accessories, but it does a really good job with what it has. Now, let's move on to the shake test. It pretty much already exceeded all my expectations, but let's see how well it does when I just violently shake the hell out of it. Yeah, still going and not a single thing dropped. Happy to say it is a completely solid kit. Which is a very pleasant surprise considering the last kit I reviewed, the YuGiOh one, didn't hold up that well. Granted, it is much larger and it could have been a lemon, but this kit is absolutely rock solid. As for the height of this model kit, it stands around 8 inches or roughly 20 centimeters, give or take. And this is mostly due to that giant crest on top of the helmet. Also, this is when all the legs are extended. If you want to just retract them a little bit, it's going to shrink down half an inch. As for size comparison, here it is next to the entry grade X72, Master grade X72, which is closer in height, and now here it is next to a fellow YuGiOh kit, the Figurized Standard Amplified Blue Eyes White Dragon, and the Amplified YuGiOh, which it gets dwarfed by. Next up we got Haro, Doraemon, DK, Unpainted Land Raider, a plushie I call Fake Lily, and a rubber ducky. As for shelf presence, here it is, next to my 3 Blue Eyes in YuGiOh and the Millennium Puzzle. And of course, card games on motorcycles. And so, another review for a YuGiOh kit finished. What are my final thoughts? Surprisingly, this is my favorite YuGiOh kit so far. Granted, there's only been like 2 other ones, but this one's my favorite by far. Surprisingly, it just came out of nowhere. I love the design, the build was very easy. Highly recommended for beginners. Because I got it in Taiwan, it wasn't too expensive, so the kit was definitely worth the price when I got it. Appearance wise, I think it's absolutely beautiful. The colors contrast really well. The gold they use is not that cheap, pathetic gold. It's a big improvement. The colors contrast very well, especially with the part separation. It just shows that if Bandai put more extra effort into it, the kit could look absolutely amazing. And appearance wasn't the only good thing, articulation was very good as well. Surprisingly, the spine was quite flexible, so you could do all those derpy poses. And though there wasn't too much extras and accessories, this kit really didn't need that much. It is cool that they added that equipping on the back function, though I'll never use it. It looks boring, but it's nice how they have that as an option. And absolutely solid, survived the shake test without any issues whatsoever, nothing fell apart. I have nothing really bad to say about this kit, but it could be my own bias. But I still look forward to them making a Dark Magician, or a Red Eyes Black Dragon, or a Summoned Skull. Nevertheless, these Yu-Gi-Oh! Amplified kits have been very fun to build and review. Thanks again for watching my video. I hope you like it. I enjoy making it. Let me know what you think. What do you think about this kit? Do you want to get it? What do you want to be made in the future? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks again for watching. Take care. Bye.